Heartbreaking twist, J.B. Beasley and Tracie Hawlett's tragic journey. In 1999, a harrowing mystery began that would grip the nation's attention for over 2 decades. The tragic story of J.B. Beasley and Tracie Hawlett, 2 high school seniors from Dothan, Alabama, would haunt the community for years to come. Filled with twisted tales and mysterious suspects, their case remains one of the most perplexing in the history of true crime. Join us as we delve into the shocking details of a case that kept the nation on edge for 22 long years. J.B. and Tracie, both on the cusp of their senior year at Northview High School, were looking forward to a night of celebration on July 31st, 1999. It was J.B.'s 17th birthday, and they had planned to attend a field party hosted by a friend. Little did they know that this fateful evening would alter their lives forever. Around 10 p.m., the 2 17-year-old girls set out from Tracie's house. Their initial destination was Headland, but they soon realized they were off course. They decided to call friends for directions, which ultimately led them to the town of Ozark. It was there, at the Big Little convenience store, that they stopped to seek direction from a woman named Marilyn Merritt. Unbeknownst to all, Marilyn would be the last person to see the 2 girls alive before their shocking fate ensued. Tracie used a payphone at the store to inform her mother about their situation. They were lost in Ozark, and it was clear they wouldn't make it home by Tracie's 11:30 curfew. Tragically, this would be the final conversation Tracie had with her mother before disappearing into the night. As the hours ticked by, their worried parents anxiously awaited their return. When 8 a.m. arrived and there was still no sign of the girls, the parents reported them missing, launching a frantic police search. The day held a grim discovery as officers found J.B.'s car parked on Herring Avenue in Ozark, nearly a mile from the payphone Tracie had used the previous night. The locked doors and an empty gas tank raised suspicions and provided a critical lead.
However, police could not find any signs of a forced entry into the vehicle. Inside the car, J.B.'s driver's license was lying on the dash. The purses of both girls were still inside the car, along with their cash. The only known missing item was J.B.'s car keys. However, there was no sign of either of the girls. A palm print was recovered from the trunk lid of the locked trunk, which gave the police a foreboding feeling that something was horribly wrong.
Upon inspecting the vehicle, authorities found no signs of forced entry. Their purses were still inside the car, ruling out a robbery attempt. However, the missing car keys added to the growing mystery and delayed police gaining access to the trunk. Suspicions were high. Why would the girls park the car here? And why were the keys missing? With no sign of the girls and no immediate way to open the trunk, police commenced a search of the area. Hours passed with no leads or sightings of the girls. In a desperate attempt to unravel the case, police decided to tow the Mazda 323 for further examination. It was during this process that a Dothan investigator made a startling discovery. A lever could open the trunk without the keys.
And I said, no, this is the Mazda 929. I said, there should be a trunk release up there somewhere. Ozark patrolman pops the trunk, and there they are in the trunk.
The 2 young girls laid together, dead from what appeared to be gunshot wounds. It would eventually be confirmed they were shot with a 9mm pistol. By the time officers found their bodies, they had been dead for a while.
With a growing sense of dread, he released the trunk and found the lifeless bodies of J.B. and Tracie. The horrors that lay within the trunk of J.B.'s black Mazda would forever haunt the families of Tracie and J.B.
What had been concealed inside the trunk would leave an indelible mark that nobody could be prepared for. As the officers opened the trunk, they were met with a gut-wrenching sight: the lifeless bodies of J.B. and Tracie. The case had transformed from a missing persons case into a horrifying murder investigation. Upon discovering their bodies, investigators discovered that they were clothed, but their clothes and shoes were dirty. The condition of their clothing and shoes raised perplexing questions for the investigators, igniting a quest for answers in a mystery that had taken a dark and sinister turn.
Finally, at noon, a Dothan police investigator was sent to Ozark to have J.B.'s black Mazda towed back to Dothan. As the officers waited for the tow truck to arrive, the Dothan investigator realized that he could open the trunk from the inside. With a growing sense of dread, he released the trunk and found the lifeless bodies of J.B. and Tracie. The horrors that lay within the trunk of J.B.'s black Mazda would forever haunt the families of Tracie and J.B. On that fateful afternoon of August 1, 1999, as the sun beat down on the small town of Ozark, the discovery of their bodies shook the community to its core.
The autopsy report sent shockwaves through the community, revealing that both girls had been brutally shot in the head. But the horrifying discoveries didn't end there. To make matters even more sickening, JB's clothing was found to contain traces of semen. With these chilling details, robbery was swiftly ruled out as a motive, leaving an even more sinister explanation in its place. With limited evidence to go on and very few witnesses, authorities were grappling with a complex case. In a desperate bid for leads, a reward was offered for information regarding the disappearance and murders of J.B. Beasley and Tracie Hawlett. But the path to solving this heinous crime remained challenging until a curious turn of events. About a month after the girls went missing, a man named Johnny Barentine walked into the police station with a story that could potentially shed light on the case. Barentine, a 28-year-old part-time mechanic, raised eyebrows with his unusual behavior on the night of the girls' disappearance. He had told his wife that he was going out to buy milk for their 2-year-old son, but he didn't return home until approximately 1 a.m., appearing shaken. The man explained to his wife that he had been hit by a truck near Herring Avenue, which is why he was so long gone. Days later, Barentine confided in his friends that he might have vital information about the Beasley and Hawlett case that could lead to the perpetrator's capture. His friends encouraged him to go to the police with his information. The man hesitated initially, but eventually he decided to take their advice and go to the police to share what he knew, hoping to collect the offered reward. On September 1st, 1999, Johnny Barentine entered the police station to provide his account of events. What followed was a bizarre 4-hour interview during which Barentine changed his story a staggering 6 times and eventually placed himself at the scene of the crime. His initial version of the story mentioned a black truck speeding away from the location where the girls were found. But as the interview progressed, his tale evolved into a more sinister narrative. He claimed to have picked up a tattooed stranger and driven to the Big Little store with the man. According to Barentine, the stranger then entered the car with the 2 girls and directed him to follow them. This led them to Herring Avenue, where, he alleged, the tattooed man got out of the girl's car. He heard 2 gunshots, and the man returned to Barentine's vehicle, which eventually took him home. Barentine crafted yet another version of the story, this time suggesting that the man he gave a lift to was his neighbor. However, this claim was promptly debunked, as the framed neighbor had a verified alibi for the time of the girl's disappearance. By now, police were highly suspicious. Adding to that was the fact that Barentine lived less than a mile from where the girls were found. As a result of his ever-changing account, the police decided to take Barentine into custody that day, and he swiftly became the prime suspect in the case. He faced 2 counts of capital murder and was put in jail. However, certain aspects of the evidence failed to align with him being a culpable suspect. Notably, his accounts made no mention of sexual activity, a crucial element needed to explain the presence of semen on JB's clothing and body. Furthermore, the DNA extracted from the semen did not match that of Barentine or the neighbor he had attempted to incriminate. It was at this stage that the true revelation is made. In a surprising turn, Barentine admitted that he had fabricated the entire story with the hope of claiming the reward money. However, investigators remained skeptical. For the most part, Barentine's account had aligned with many facts in the case. Police were also convinced that Barentine possessed knowledge about the case that he was unwilling to divulge. During a preliminary hearing against Barentine's charges, an investigator testified that his descriptions of the crime scene matched details consistent with the actual crime. What happened to Barentine, however, was declared in court that he had never picked up a tattooed man, nor had he witnessed anything on the night of July 31st, 1999, as well as whether the case was ultimately solved. He maintained that he had indeed just gone to get milk for his child. During the hearing, the judge presiding over the hearing denied him bond and appointed him a lawyer. Stay with us for the shocking conclusion to this haunting mystery. If you enjoyed this video, then please show your support for this channel by subscribing to the channel or leaving a comment with your thoughts on this video.